Broadcasting from an undisclosed location in southeast Arizona, fighting to expose the truth and help put the country back on track. This is the Conservative Underground. Send us an email to undergroundtalkshow@gmail.com. Listen to us online on any device. Simply log on to www.undergroundtalkshow.com. And now, here's your host, behind the microphone of truth, Big D.
Alrighty, welcome to another broadcast episode of the Conservative Underground. Yes, we are broadcasting from an undisclosed location in southeast Arizona. Welcome aboard. Big shout out to all the listeners out there, because without you, we don't have a program. We'd like to welcome all the new listeners coming in through radio.com. And you can also find us in iHeartRadio under the Contra Radio Network umbrella. We are also on Contra Radio Network, obviously. We are in iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, Podbean, all the major podcast hosting services out there have accepted us, and we are now broadcasting worldwide on the internet, streaming through the Contra Radio Network, the Podbean app, and other services, like I said, such as iHeartRadio and iTunes and Stitcher and all of those places. So welcome aboard. Thank you for tuning in. We'd like to invite you to support our sponsors, because that's how we keep our costs down. And so I want to take a minute. So 2 weeks ago, last week, we talked about the big story of Donald Trump walking out on Nancy Pelosi and Chuckles Schumer at the White House. That was a big story. Now, this week, the big story is Robert Mueller. In fact, if you looked at the headlines, they were all Robert Mueller breaks silence on Mueller investigation. Well, basically, he just came forth and said, my job is done, I'm finished, I'm retiring, and I'm closing my offices, and I'm returning to public life. That's basically what he said. But if you listen to the media, and if you listen to the Democrats, they're all up in arms, and they're all back with this, we got something, and Mueller, dropped the bombshell and all this other stuff. But in reality, he didn't really say anything that hasn't already been revealed in the report, which is nothing. Now, we're gonna listen to that here in just a few minutes. So stick around, because we're going to be listening to that. But this whole thing has renewed, or as they would want you to think, has renewed the calls for impeachment. And so there's a story in the Daily Mail News that says 50 House Democrats and one lone Republican are now calling for Trump impeachment. Well, the problem there is, see, this is going to go to Nancy Pelosi's credit here. You won't find me doing this very often, but I'm going to credit her this, because I think she actually gets this. In order to impeach the president of the United States, they need to have 2/3 of the simple majority of those present voting. Okay, 2/3 is what they need in order to get impeachment. All right. Well, a simple majority vote, or 2/3, you have a 435 member House of Representatives. So 2/3 of that, or a simple majority, would be 218 votes. That is a long cry from 51. So if you follow where I'm going with this, even though there seems to be a really big, loud, booming noise about impeachment, remember, the voice on the left is bigger than what you think it is. They own all of Hollywood. They own all of the media outlets, with a very, very tiny exception of a few. And so they have the ability to make it sound and seem like it's bigger than it is. But when you really look at it, if you think about what's going on and you understand what our Constitution says and how the laws of this country work, and the fact that we are not a democracy, but we are a constitutional republic. If first of all you understood how a constitutional republic works, and you understand that by learning the Constitution. And the Constitution clearly states that you need 2/3 of the vote in order to proceed forward with impeachment. 51 votes, that's the Democrats and one lone Republican, that doesn't constitute 2/3 of the vote. So even if they were to draw up articles of impeachment, it's not going to proceed forward. I don't know, maybe if by some miracle they get it, they get the votes, and they impeach him, it moves on to the Senate for trial, and it gets quashed there, and it's a dead issue anyway. So don't pay too much attention right now to what you're hearing out there in the media and to what you're hearing from the left about we're going to impeach Donald Trump and all this, that, and the other. It's a big voice, but it actually is not saying a whole lot. Because if you look at the statistics, they don't have what it takes to move forward. All right, I'm done beating that drum. I'm going to move on now. Let them beat that drum all they want, but it's not going anywhere. It's a dead issue right now. They don't have it. It just isn't going to happen. At least not as of right this minute. I don't see it happening. Okay, let's get back to Mueller, Robert Mueller. Let's talk a little bit about about this whole Mueller thing. So I'm going to refer to I'm going to bring in the audio from the Mueller speech. So, and then we're going to listen to it. We're going to dissect it as it goes.
Let me say a word about the report. The report has two parts, addressing the two main issues we were asked to investigate. The first volume of the report details numerous efforts emanating from Russia to influence the election. This volume includes a discussion of the Trump campaign's response to this activity, as well as our conclusion that there was insufficient evidence to charge a broader conspiracy.
Right there. We cannot find any evidence that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians.
As well as our conclusion that there was insufficient evidence to charge a broader conspiracy.
Okay, that should have been the end of it. It should have been over right there, because that's what it was all about. Donald Trump colluding with the Russians in order to influence the outcome of the 2016 election in the favor of Donald Trump and forcing Hillary Clinton to lose the election. So therefore, Donald Trump colluded with the Russians and he stole the election from Hillary Clinton. They investigated it. They found nothing. And I remember the Democrats saying how we must accept the findings of the Mueller report. Mueller said we couldn't find any collusion. Oh, well, Trump tried to obstruct justice. He tried to obstruct the investigation.
And in the second volume, the report describes the results and analysis of our obstruction of justice investigation involving the president.
So, instead of accepting the findings that Mueller's report found no collusion with Donald Trump and the Russians, well, we can't accept that. Now we've got to go after an obstruction probe.
The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting attorney general apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
If we had had confidence that the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so. Wait a minute. You guys weren't trying to prove that he was guilty or innocent. You were trying to prove he was guilty. See, there's a difference. They're just words, people. They're just words. It's all in what you say and how you say it. Well, we couldn't prove that he did not commit a crime. Therefore, he's guilty of committing a crime.
If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
You got to be kidding me, right? I mean, if we would have had concrete evidence that the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so. Talk about leaving the door wide open for whatever interpretation you want. I mean, okay, I could not find proof that Barack Obama's birth certificate was fake, but I couldn't find evidence that it was real either.
We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime.
Well, I mean, isn't the burden of proof on you? You guys made the accusation that Donald Trump obstructed justice, and now you're saying that you can't find evidence that he did? You can't find evidence proving that he's innocent? You can't. Wait a minute. The burden of proof in the United States of America's justice system lies on that of the accuser. If you make an accusation, it is therefore your responsibility to lay that burden of proof out there for everyone to see, clearly see, not based on an opinion, which, by the way, this whole Mueller report is an opinion, okay? But the burden of proof lays on you to prove without any doubt whatsoever, that the crime was committed. All right, so let's do it this way. My next door neighbor calls the police on me because he says he saw me shoot and kill somebody. Okay, the police come to the house. They find no murder weapon. They find no gun. They find no spent casings. They find no powder residual marks on my hands. They find, after they go around the entire block, nobody heard any gunshots. Nobody heard any yelling. Nobody heard any screaming. There's no blood stains anywhere in my house or anywhere else in the street or anywhere else. So therefore, you have not proven that I committed the crime. Therefore, you cannot have me arrested and tried on a criminal crime because you have insufficient evidence to prove the fact that I actually committed a crime. That's the same thing, people. We have an accusation that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians. That came back as false. So now we have to open up another investigation stating that President Donald Trump interfered with the investigation of something that there was no crime to commit to begin with. Come on, people. Are you freaking wake up? Pay attention to what's going on here. This is a scam. This is a hoax. The whole thing, as President Trump calls it, a witch hunt, a hoax. Come on. You cannot impede an investigation into a crime that doesn't exist in the first place. But, okay, let's go with it. So now we couldn't find anything on the collusion. So now we've got to find another charge to, no pun intended here, to trump up against President Trump. So we'll say that he impeded the investigation. And now Robert Mueller says, we cannot find any evidence that he committed the crime.
We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime.
And somehow, in the demented minds of the Democrats, they find that Robert Mueller found Trump's guilt, and now we need to move forward with impeachment proceedings.
It explains that under long-standing department policy, a president cannot be charged with a federal crime while he is in office. That is unconstitutional.
Oh, now the Democrats want to follow the Constitution all of a sudden. Under Barack Obama's era, they didn't want anything to do with the Constitution. Now, all of a sudden, They want to follow the Constitution. Listen, we've gone long. We got to take a break. We'll be back with more of this right after the commercial break, so don't go away.
Listen to us online on any device. Simply log on to www.undergroundtalkshow.com.
Hi, this is John Jeffers, inviting you to listen to my show, The Jeffers Brief. You know, on The Jeffers Brief, we discuss topics of interest and concerns for preppers and patriots. You can only find us on the Compton Radio Network on podbean.com or KYAH 540 AM, Utah's Talk Authority. Hope you join me, and we'll talk to you then.
Black Metal Firearms are a couple guys I know personally and friends of mine that put together some great accessories for all your firearms needs. Everything that I've seen them do is just top-notch and very nice looking. BlackMetalFirearms.com. Check them out. I think you'll be glad you did. Go to Facebook, Black Metal Firearms. They got a great page there too. Learn more about the workmanship and the craftsmanship they put into every accessory and every build they do.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know you can find us on iTunes and Google Play too? Or download the free Podbean app by logging on to www.undergroundtalkshow.com and clicking the green Podbean app button on the bottom of your screen.
All right, thanks you, Eric, and welcome back to the second segment of today's program. We have been talking about the big breaking story, Robert Mueller announcing his retirement. And we've been talking about how, first the Democrats wanted to provide impeachment based on the fact that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians, and we were reminded how we must accept the outcome of the Mueller report no matter what the findings are. And when they came back and they weren't what the Democrats wanted, then we had to open up a new investigation, Volume 2, into obstruction of justice, where once again Mueller basically said, well, we can't find he's innocent. Well, they can't find he's guilty either. And then Mueller, comes back and says, well, it would have been unconstitutional for us to try to charge a sitting president, and on and on and on and on and on.
Even if the charge is kept under seal and hidden from public view, that too is prohibited. The special counsel's office is part of the Department of Justice, and by regulation, it was bound by that department policy. Charging the president with a crime was therefore not an option we could consider. Okay, so let me get this straight, because I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole thing, and it's beyond me how anybody can accept any of this nonsense as fact. I hate to beat a dead horse, but they seem to be wanting to beat it, so let's keep beating it. Clearly, Mueller said there was no collusion. So we open up an investigation into obstruction of justice, to which they did not find
any guilt. They couldn't find any innocence. They weren't trying to prove he was innocent. They were trying to prove he was guilty. But okay. So then we go on to all this legal mumbo jumbo about how it's unconstitutional to convict a sitting president. And therefore, we must follow the rules and regulations and the laws. And therefore, we could not convict with a crime. Never mind the fact that you have no crime. Never mind the mumbo jumbo that you have no evidence of Donald Trump being guilty of doing anything. You can't convict him because it's part of procedure. Listen, folks, if they had had any kind of evidence whatsoever that Donald Trump committed any kind of a crime, I assure you they would have moved forward with this already. They would have found ways and loopholes. The laws don't matter to the Democrats. The Constitution doesn't mean diddly squat to the Democrats. The law of the land means nothing. Look at Barack Obama. Look at Hillary Clinton. Look at Peter Strzok. Look at these criminals. They don't give one iota about the law of the land.
The special counsel's office is part of the Department of Justice, and by regulation, it was bound by that department policy. Charging the president with a crime was therefore not an option we could consider.
No, you couldn't consider it because you don't have a crime. You don't have anything to charge him with. Forget about procedures and policies and all that other hoopla and nonsense. You people don't have anything to go on, and that's why you can't charge him.
The department's written opinion explaining the policy makes several important points that further informed our handling of the obstruction investigation. Those points are summarized in our report, and I will describe two of them for you. First, the opinion explicitly permits the investigation of a sitting president because it is important to preserve evidence while memories are fresh and documents available. Among other things, that evidence could be used if there were co-conspirators who could be charged now.
Okay, where are these co-conspirators? And why have there been no charges filed? Huh? How about that question? If you people are paying attention and listening to what's being said here, where are these co-conspirators that now all of a sudden Trump didn't act alone? He's got co-conspirators. Where are these co-conspirators that can be charged now? And why have you not filed any charges against these so-called co-conspirators?
And second, the opinion says that the Constitution requires a process other than the criminal justice system to formally accuse a sitting president of wrongdoing.
Okay, so what he's telling you here is, well, I have found nothing. I cannot recommend any kind of a crime, and so I'm done. Now I'm going to leave it up to you all to find the crime because I've done what I can and I don't find anything wrong. So I'm washing my hands of the whole thing. Leave me alone. I'm retiring. I'm closing my office. I'm going back to my private life and just leave me alone.
And beyond department policy, we were guided by principles of fairness. It would be unfair to potentially accuse somebody of a crime when there can be no court resolution of the actual charge.
It would be unfair to accuse somebody when the justice system could not find a resolution to the actual charge. In other words, the translation, folks, is it would be unfair to make an accusation or to try to make a conviction because we don't have a crime. We can't prove he did anything, so we can't prove that there was a crime committed. Therefore, I can't make the accusation because there is nothing there.
So that was Justice Department policy. Those were the principles under which we operated, and from them we concluded that we would not reach a determination, one way or the other, about whether the president committed a crime. That is the office's final position, and we will not comment on any other conclusions or hypotheticals about the president.
Bottom line, Trump didn't do anything wrong. That's the bottom line of this whole thing. If you've been paying attention, if you've been listening and just paying attention, forget about what the media is telling you. Forget about what your elected officials are telling you. Forget about all that, because we already know that the liberal media will create lies and run with them as national headlines as if they're true and factual stories, and they're not. And somehow or another, they have twisted this as Robert Mueller breaks his silence. Oh my gosh, this is a huge story. Robert Mueller is talking for the first time about this report. And what did Robert Mueller say? Absolutely nothing. You just heard it right here on the program, folks. He said nothing. They don't have a crime. Because they don't have a crime, well, we can't prove he's innocent. But you can't prove he's guilty either. See, that's the play on the words, people. The play on the words is we cannot prove that he is innocent. You're not trying to prove he's innocent. You're trying to prove he's guilty. You've made an accusation. In the United States justice system, if you make an accusation, you have to prove that accusation in a court of law so that the justice system can make the determination as to whether or not the individual is guilty. Okay? You cannot take this to the justice system because you cannot prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that Donald Trump committed any crime anywhere, whether it was colluding with Russia. Well, you already said he didn't do that. And you can't prove that he obstructed justice. So now last week, Nancy Pelosi has to come out and she has to say, Donald Trump's covering something up. What is he covering up? Can somebody please tell me that? You can email me, undergroundtalkshow@gmail.com. I'd love to hear what you got to say. What is he covering up? We don't have a crime. How can you cover up a crime if a crime doesn't exist? Folks, this whole thing, the whole thing, look, Donald Trump said it best. He said, the Obama CIA, Department of Justice, and FBI conspired to keep Trump from winning the election to protect and get Hillary Clinton elected in order to protect the corrupt system. And Donald Trump and William Barr are about to explode this corruption beyond your wildest dreams. You are about to see, in fact, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about another breaking story that happened today. Former Obama White House Counsel has been indicted. So we're going to talk about that after the break. This whole thing, it all relates. It's all coming around full circle. Stick around. We're going to catch up with it after the break. Are you looking to advertise? Then advertise with the Conservative Underground on KFNX. With over 50,000 weekly listeners, KFNX has one of the largest signals of any Phoenix radio station. If you're interested in advertising on radio with a large listener base, then contact Francis Battaglia, President, Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. Call Francis at 602-277-1100, extension 1463. Call now.
Hey folks, guess what the number one phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea! We love this tea! Time after time, week after week, we love this tea! Life Change Tea gives you more energy. A beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
Let's talk about solar. Yes, solar. Listen, we had the guys from Solar Solution AZ come to our house. They did a full house estimate. They went through our utility bills, and they set us up with a system that has been phenomenal ever since. It's zeroed out our electric bill, and at the end of the year, we even get a credit. Log on now to solarsolutionaz.net. That's solarsolutionaz.net. Alrighty, welcome back to the third segment of today's program. Just a real quick shout out to those folks over at Solar Solution AZ. We've had our solar system for about 3 years now. And, we got a phone call. I got a phone call yesterday from Solar Solution AZ. They told me that they got an alert that they were not receiving data from our communicator. And so I went and I checked, and sure enough, our communicator had become unplugged. And so we were not sending data. And so they walked me through getting it reset and back up, and then they confirmed that they were again receiving data from our system, and that everything looked good. They also told me that they would continue to monitor closely our system for the next few days at least to make sure that everything stays communicating properly. But it is a monitored system. That's the thing I like about it. It is a monitored system. And when something goes wrong, they alert you to that. The first question out of their mouth was, have you noticed any fluctuations or anything in your power? Is everything okay? Is your bill okay? And I said, yeah, everything's fine. And it was just the communicator wasn't sending data. And so they happened to log out. They just noticed it, and it sent them an alert, and they reached out and contacted me. They walked me right through setting it back up. Guys, that to me is excellent customer service. Okay. We purchased our system. They came to the house. They did a whole complete in-house evaluation. They went over our bill and everything and made sure that everything was, copacetic and good to go. And then, it doesn't make sense for everybody, but it made sense for us. And so we had them do it. And it was probably the best thing that I've done. In fact, I know it was the best thing that we have done for our home since we built it. And for them to reach out to us and say, hey, look, we got an alert, something's not up, run through some checks and everything. And if we can't get it resolved, we'll send a technician out at no charge because it's under warranty. And so that to me just speaks volumes.
Black Metal Firearms are a couple guys I know personally and friends of mine that put together some great accessories for all your firearms needs. Everything that I've seen them do is just top-notch and very nice looking. BlackMetalFirearms.com. Check them out. I think you'll be glad you did. Go to Facebook, Black Metal Firearms. They got a great page there too. Learn more about the workmanship and the craftsmanship they put into every accessory and every build they do.
This was all about Russia, Russia, Russia. They don't talk about Russia anymore because it turned out to be a hoax. You take a look at collusion between Hillary Clinton and Russia. She had more to do in the campaign with Russia than I did. I had nothing to do. And I think in the end, I will consider what's happening now to be one of my greatest achievements, exposing this corruption.
And that being very true. It seems as a former Obama White House counsel has been indicted. Greg Craig has been indicted on charges related to work that he performed for the Ukrainian government back in 2012. And this is a casualty. It's the latest casualty of the investigation that grew out of the special counsel Robert Mueller's report that we talked about in the first session of the program today. This is now, they're reporting, this probe has engulfed former senior and U.S. officials from both parties. So here's the thing. We're going to talk a little bit more. Don't forget about that because we're going to come back to this story. But here's the thing. They're trying to now say, oh, well, it's both parties are guilty and all this, that, and the other. No. Here's what's going on. President Trump last week issued a memo to declassify all of the documents pertaining to the Russian collusion. Okay? And William Barr, Attorney General William Barr, has said that he is going to investigate the genesis and the conduct of the Russian collusion story. In other words, we're going to find out how the whole thing got started and whether it was legal or not. This goes all the way back now to 2012. Guys, things are starting to heat up now. Mr. Craig, who's a senior legal advisor for two presidents, that would be Clinton and Obama, Democrats, he was charged with making false statements in connection with work he did with Paul Manafort. Does that name ring a bell? Yeah, the former Trump campaign chief. This was all dealing with the Ukrainian Ministry of Justice. Wait, who is that? That's the Russians. So this is a developing story, and this is unbelievable, folks. You're going to start seeing things, I believe really soon, and I believe you're going to see, because this document dump's coming soon too, that Trump last week demanded or sent out a note to all department heads to give Barr whatever he wants. So we've got a document dump. And I believe I was expecting it to come last week. I think it's going to come this coming week. So we're probably going to have a lot more to talk about next weekend. Guys, this is a huge story. Like I said, it's developing right now. And we're just going to have to wait and see what other rabbit holes we go down with this. Another big story that took place this week was Hillary Clinton being the keynote speaker. Listen to this.
Our democracy feels far from secure. They've banned Muslims from entering the country. And our government is tearing children from the arms of their parents at the border and locking them in cages. Make no mistake.
First of all, it's not a democracy, it's a constitutional republic. But the other thing is, our government is tearing children from the arms of their parents at the border? Are you kidding me? You've got to be kidding me. These children are being used as pawns, and there's nowhere that I see any agents ripping children from their arms of their parents anywhere on the border. This lady, every time she opens her mouth, she lies. Now, first of all, she is supposed to be the keynote speaker. You would think she would be focusing on the achievements of the graduates instead of using it as a bully pulpit to get political and trash Trump. Let's continue.
We are witnessing an assault on the rule of law and the foundations of our democracy. What do we do when people in positions of authority are not held accountable?
Accountable for what? We just went through this. There's nothing to be held accountable for. You're saying that Donald Trump is guilty of committing a crime, but yet you can't provide any evidence of such a crime. Why should he be held accountable for anything?
When they defy requests from the Congress, when Facebook refused to take down a fake video of Nancy Pelosi, it wasn't even a close call. The video is sexist trash.
The video she's referring to is the one they claimed that someone slowed down the audio to slur Nancy's speech to make it sound as if she was drunk. Listen, I watched it live. I watched it live. You telling me they can slow down live video? I watched it live. She was slurring her speech. I don't know if she was drunk or if she's having strokes, but something's wrong, and you people are trying to, again, cover it up. For some reason, Hillary Clinton refuses to accept the fact that she lost because of herself. The Democrats, Donald Trump stole the elections. He colluded with the Russians. He's obstructed justice. He's covering something up. Well, you don't have evidence of any of it, and you can't accept the fact that you lost because of you, not because Donald Trump stole the election from you, not because you're better than he was. Everybody knows that Hillary Clinton is a criminal, and the truth will come out. The truth is going to come out, people, and it's going to be more damaging than what anybody can imagine. This lady, they could have run a twig against this lady from a tree, and the twig would have won. Okay, because Hillary Clinton is a known crook, she's a known criminal, and everybody in this country knows it. The silent majority spoke up, elected duly, legally, and lawfully elected President Donald Trump without the help of any foreign interference, without the help of any foreign Russian collusion or any of that. And he won fair and square, and he's going to win again in 2020, and there's nothing that you Democrats can do to stop it. Suck it up, Buttercup. That's what they told us during the Barack Obama era. All right, I got one more thing to talk about, if I can get there, this week. And that's the other big story, that Donald Trump has put rising tariffs against Mexico. Boy, have the Democrats gone haywire over this one. You know, the bottom line is nobody will do anything. Nobody will do anything on the border. In fact, listen to what Sarah Sanders said.
Not only have we thought this through, but we've been talking about it since the president, not just on the campaign, but took office. The president has been saying for months, if not years, that we have to do something to secure our border. We have to make sure that we're protecting the people of this country. And the president is looking at all options to make sure he's doing exactly that. Congress has failed. And at the same time, Mexico has the ability to step up and do more. The president has been asking them for months to do that. And now he is putting some measures in place that hopefully will get them to engage more so that they will start to help us in this process. We can't continue down the path that we're on. We can't continue to operate as a sovereign country with no borders and without enforcement of our law. And Mexico needs to enforce their southern border as well. And we're hopeful that they'll step up and help fix this problem, because they can easily do that.
Right, exactly right. Nobody will do anything. And so it's up to the president. It's his responsibility to secure the borders of this country. It's his responsibility. The Constitution is very clear. Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution says that every state in this union shall be guaranteed a republican form of government and shall protect each of them from invasion. It's very clear. It can't get any more clearer than that. That is the role of the government, to protect and serve the citizens of this country. And the president is acting within his authority to do just that. And if Mexico doesn't want to play game, fine. We'll start taxing them higher. And it's going to go up 5%, and it's going to go up another 5%, and it's going to continue to go up another 5%, and it's going to continue to rise until it peaks out in October. Grassley speaks out against this. Now, with all due respect, I watched Grassley during the whole Kavanaugh thing, and I think Grassley did very good. And but I've got a problem with him speaking out against this, because I support this. I think President Trump is doing the right thing. He's doing something that nobody else will do. And I think Grassley is wrong on that. And I think Sarah Sanders agrees with me.
Look, certainly I have a lot of respect for Chairman Grassley, and we work with him on a lot of things. But at the same time, the president's number one responsibility is to protect Americans, and that's exactly what he's doing. This is fully supported by the law and under the authorities of the president through the IEPA provision. There's case law that supports the action taken by the president. And frankly, if other people were stepping up and doing more, the president wouldn't have to continue to look for ways to stop this problem on his own. We'd love for Congress to engage, and we would love for Mexico to step up.
So the issue here is that nobody wants to do anything, and when the lone wolf wants to step up and do something, everybody gets all up in arms. Guys, we are at max right now. We cannot sustain. This country cannot, and I assure you, will not sustain at its current rate of influx of illegals into this country. This is not an immigration deal. This is an illegal immigration deal. There is a difference. There is a difference between immigrating to this country and illegally immigrating into this country. And something has to be done, because if it's not, this country as we know it will cease to exist. And President Donald Trump threw it into the other hands, and he said, well, you want them? We'll put them in sanctuary cities. And oh, no, we don't want to do that. See, we don't want them to come to our cities. We want them to go to all the other cities so that they will help us win elections. Guys, that's what it's about. We already have our cities wrapped up in the bag. We already have the Democrat sanctuary cities. We don't need their votes here. We need their votes in the states of Arizona and Texas and all these other red states. And so if we bring them to our country, to our sanctuary cities, it doesn't help us. It doesn't benefit us. So no, Mr. President. Thank you, but no thank you. Come on. Really? I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I hear the music. I'm going to go ahead and call it a week this week. We have more to come. There's always news to talk about, and there's always stuff going on. I look for a big news week. We'll see what happens. We'll have to find out if indeed this goes down. But in any case, this document dump I'm talking about, we'll have to wait and see what happens, and we'll see what happens with these this new indictment. So, the Democrat town halls are coming. Things are starting to heat up, so we don't have time to talk about that today. We'll get into that probably next week. Until then, thanks for tuning in, and remember, tell your friends that live in the Arizona and the Tucson and Sierra Vista area, check out solarsolutionaz.net. Give them a call and tell them that Big D from the Conservative Underground sent you.
This has been the Conservative Underground. Send us an email to undergroundtalkshow@gmail.com. Don't forget to log on to our website at www.redstateunderground.com. Listen to us online on any device. Simply log on to www.undergroundtalkshow.com. Catch us on social media, on Facebook at Underground Talk Show, and on Twitter at Underground Show 2. That's SHO and the number 2.